Hello and welcome to the very first in our Sampling Unwrapped series. My name is Johnny Grubin. I'm the founder and CEO of SoPost. And since 2012, we've been building solutions to help the world's leading brands and retailers run incredibly powerful product sampling experiences online. I feel incredibly privileged to be joined by Lara Akkad today. Lara is the Senior Regional Brand Manager for Pampers in KSA and Gulf, and has been a fantastic partner of ours over the past few years. And I am incredibly excited to have a discussion with Lara about her experiences with sampling, both traditional forms and moving online with SoPost, and really getting her insight on the world of innovation, particularly within a large corporate. Before we jump in, I really want to say a huge thank you to everybody who is joining us today. I had a look at the attendee list earlier. We have an amazing array of attendees from around the world. I saw people signing in from the USA, from the UK, France, Germany, UAE, and Australia. So wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is where you are, thank you very much for joining us today. We really want to make sure that this is an engaging and rewarding session for everybody who's participating. So whilst I have prepared a number of questions for Lara that I'm really excited to dig into with her, if you have any questions, any comments, any feedback for us, please do share it in the chat area, and we'll do our best to get to those throughout this conversation. And with that said, I'd love to formally introduce Lara, who, as I mentioned, has been working with us for a couple of years. But before we jump into the content, Lara, perhaps you'd like to introduce yourself and share a little background to the audience.
Okay. So like Johnny said, I'm the Senior Brand Manager for Pampers. My markets, or my specific markets, are UAE, Oman, and Bahrain. And I've been with P&G for 4 years now and fully on Pampers. While my role is the typical brand manager role, I think the thing that I came into P&G with is how do I keep that innovative, out-of-the-box spirit in everything I do. And with that, and linked to today's discussion, is sampling. And I just want to say, just like Johnny said, I hope this session is useful to everyone. And if you have any questions throughout, just feel free to add them to the chat, and we'll add them throughout the conversation. It's a very free-flowing conversation, so feel free to ask anything.
Great. Thank you, Lara. So why don't we dive straight in? And before we even talk about digital, I would love to hear a little bit about what sampling means to Pampers, why it's important, and if you could share a little bit about the approach that the brand has taken over the years, that would be really fantastic.
That's definitely the starting point for anyone to understand as well. So for Pampers, sampling is incredibly important. And what we usually do is we call it point of market entry. So where can I reach a mom at the point at which she literally enters the market for diapers? Essentially at the surface level, and the most obvious point at which you do that is in hospitals. And when I came into the brand, which was 4 years ago, we literally sampled through hospitals where we, at the point at which a mom gives birth to a baby, we hand her or we give her a diaper, a Pampers premium care diaper. And beyond that, that's where the journey ends. So when I came into the brand, I was told that this is the way it's been done for 12 years. While it's effective at the surface level in terms of, yes, it's where the mom gives birth to a baby. Yes, that's exactly where a mom is meant to receive a Pampers sample, and we bring her into the brand. I would say it's quite limited, which is why I thought, why can't we try to innovate within this space? I'm sure there are other ways that exist out there that we can try to experience or learn on, right? And this can't be the only way that exists out there for a brand to convert people or get or reach their target audience, right? So yes, it is effective at the surface level, but it did have gaps. And I think that's what we can talk about more, because that's where innovation comes from, right? There are gaps. You try to you challenge yourself to break through the status quo, and then you try to innovate. So maybe we're jumping in, Johnny, but I would love to say that I experienced SoPost's service through trying it myself. So I simply saw an advertisement on Instagram with a very simple message: get your complimentary sample now, in big, in caps lock. And there was a CTA saying sign up. I simply added all of my details to the sign up form. Within a few days, I received the sample straight to my doorstep. And honestly, I thought this was too good to be true. It was so convenient, so simple. I just had to do a few steps and I got the sample straight to my doorstep. And I got to experience the product through the comfort of my home. The first thing I thought of, obviously beyond just trying the whatever brand I was trying at the time, is how can I bring this to Pampers? And I thought it was so seamless and so, I mean, this must be the future. So that's when I tried to bring in this service for Pampers, and I thought that this is the best way for us to try something new versus just saying, okay, this is the only way we can sample, and we're going to stick to that.
That's fantastic, and perhaps the strongest endorsement of SoPost that I could have. So it's great to hear that you experienced the solution yourself, and then that prompted you to look at how it could be applied to the Pampers brand. Just to make sure that I'm really understanding the approach correctly, prior to the partnership with SoPost, the sampling tactics were very much focused on reaching a mother in a hospital fairly shortly after their child has been born.
Correct.
And have you seen much in terms of insight or feedback around the impact that delivering the samples to the mother's home has had versus in hospital? One of the things that we think about a lot here is how we can deliver really magical experiences to consumers. I think people are so used to the deliveries they receive being bank statements or energy bills, and actually being able to almost share a little treat in the mail can be quite an uplifting thing. But I'd love to know if you've seen any differences in terms of engagement or satisfaction from consumers where they've been surprised and delighted at home versus received a gift from the brand in the hospital itself.
So I'll go back to the hospital piece. And I think it's quite imaginable as I speak it. But I mean, again, it is effective in terms of the mom is delivering a baby. So we've given a sample to the mom at the point at which she's literally entered the market for the diaper category. The problem there is it is very difficult for you to reach out to the mom after and really understand her experience with the product. Did she like it? What did she think? Did it meet her expectations? Did she have other expectations of the brand? While it's not impossible, I won't say it's impossible. I feel like if you just simply revert to this traditional ways of just maybe trying to do a callback a few months after she's received the sample, it doesn't hold that instant gratification or that instant insights that we're able to get with digital sampling. So one, I think the callback way is quite traditional in the sense it's linked to obviously the fact that it happens a few months after, it's not instant. And it's very difficult as well for us to build a one-to-one communication with that mom post her receiving the sample. So it literally is linear, the same way the visual showed. It starts at the mom giving birth to a baby in the hospital. She gets the sample. That journey ends there. We can always do callbacks and everything, but again, that's very traditional. What I've noticed with digital sampling through SoPost, the mom sees an ad within the digital space. However, a brand builds it. They see a very simple message saying, "Get your complimentary sample now from Pampers." They have a CTA sign up. We've built that form to take in all of her details in terms of the address, how to contact her, etc. Within a few days, that mom receives the sample straight to her doorstep. And I think, I mean, again, I'll talk about the actual verbatims that we received from moms, but the same gratification I got when I actually experienced your service, and I thought it was so seamless and so simple. I think that's the same experience that moms had. And I mean, speaking from what I know of moms, which I know a lot of, obviously from being the brand manager of Pampers, moms are very busy. If you can make one thing easier for her, you really simplified her life. At least one thing, right? One thing less to worry about. And we have a lot of people who reached out to us because initially they believed that they were signing up to a scam or something. So when they actually received the sample to their doorstep, we received so many screenshots of happy moms holding the product, telling us, "Thank you, Pampers. I'm so excited to try this for my baby." Until today, we continue to receive that. So the actual verbatims from moms is one thing, and then the other beauty of SoPost is through the post sampling surveys. So one thing is the screenshots, and then you can integrate as a brand, which I thought is amazing because you can get your analytics and insights from that on the product, is through the post-sampling surveys, where we have real reviews from moms post them experiencing the product, saying it did wonders for my baby, it was perfect. So you have real reviews that can help a brand understand what's the real experience behind the product that you're trying to get consumers to try.
Brilliant. I mean, that's such a fantastic thing to hear. And I'm really curious to understand as well whether there's been sort of additional halo effects created off the back of it. One thing that we've often seen is when somebody receives that product in such a delightful way, not only is it really impactful for them and their own purchasing decisions, but they end up sharing their experience with their friends, whether that's in person or across their social media platforms. And I'd be really curious to understand whether generating that additional content and exposure was something that was of interest to you, or was it primarily about reaching the mother, and then anything beyond that was a benefit, additionally to what we were primarily looking to achieve?
Word of mouth within the diaper space is extremely important. Moms listen to each other, right? Mom friends listen to each other. They listen to their friends. And they really value the friend advice they get from one another. So knowing that word of mouth is an extremely important part of a brand strategy, that's exactly what we did. So post receiving all of these amazing pictures of moms who've received our sample, we've actually utilized that content as user-generated content to even reach more people and say, this program is real, it's not a scam. It's as simple as signing up to this form and you'll get the sample straight to your doorstep. And when other moms try and they continue to generate more of that content, we continue to use that to boast about and promote the program even more.
Great. So one thing I would love to understand, Lara, is it seems to me that one of the very real benefits of the in-hospital sampling is that you know exactly where your target customer is. Yes. When you began to move into digital sampling, how did you build out that approach, and what tactics and channels did you end up using to make sure that you were still reaching the mother, but through their phone or their PC as opposed to in the hospital itself?
The first thing I would say is that you need to apply a mindset shift. While these moms, exactly like you said, the most obvious way to reach them is they're giving birth to a baby. That's when they've entered the market for diapers. But it can't be that they just disappear after they've left the hospital, right? So these moms must use digital. They must use social media. They must be on Google search. They must be on e-com, right? They exist out there and they have a behavior on their phone or within the digital world. So it was just as much a challenge as it was a fun experience to start defining what are all the cool ways that I can try to explore to reach these moms out there. And I think and this takes me back to my first days of even designing this whole shift, is I asked the team up front, can I try to am I limited to one way? Because that's the kind of, initially with traditional sampling, that was all we had, one way, and you're supposed to apply that. When the team told me that actually you can apply all these different ways, you just have to tell us what ways you would like to define for sampling, and we can help you build that. So that mindset shift was incredible for the brand, and it only makes me feel like I'm kind of limitless with sampling. Some of the channels that we started off with and we're still developing to date, which again is the beauty of this program, we started off first with lead generation ads on Meta. That was the base, and again, it was a learning journey. On top of that, we wanted to use our base media plan. So we're a brand that is always on media. So we wanted to use our base media campaigns on YouTube, on Meta, on TikTok, on Snapchat to also promote this trial program and make people basically sign up for the form. We also used influencers because, again, they're a word of mouth driver and they have a lot of followers who resonate with their content. So why not also use them as word of mouth drivers about the trial program? So those were kind of the starting points. As I started to on the go build the program, and again, this goes back to the flexibility that this service provides, and the team can vouch for this. I've added e-commerce as another channel. So, okay, I also am a brand that is heavily invested on e-com. So why not use the e-com media space to also drive trial? And that's what we did. And most recently as well, we've integrated 2 more channels. One is Google search and the display network, which again is a white space for us to learn on. And the last one is our in-store promoters. So today we also have in-store promoters that are actually helping consumers on ground with what product best suits their baby's needs. So whenever the in-store promoter identifies a mom that is pregnant, that is moving through the aisle, or she has a newborn that's also with her, or just simply speaks to the consumer and understands what's her baby's age, or if she's expecting whatever it is. And she hands out a QR code to the mom to be able to sign up and get her sample straight to her doorstep. So just looking at everything I've listed, that shows you the flexibility and the power of this, that there's no one way. It's up to you to creatively design all the ways that you already reach out to your consumers and integrate your trial plan seamlessly into that.
I mean, it's such incredible coverage that you have. And I guess it's a real testament to the fact that you don't need to go physically to where your audience is. There are a lot of digital tools available to help you speak to that customer, but also in those physical retail environments. And, you know, this is something that I've been building out now for almost 12 years. So to me, it very much feels like second nature. But I'm very aware that P&G is a very large company. Pampers is one of the company's biggest, if not the biggest brand. Correct. And it can sometimes be hard to make change happen. And just knowing how important the in-hospital sampling programs have been to Pampers globally over the years, I'd love to hear from you about what the process of introducing something new to the brand has been like. Was there pushback and resistance? And how did you navigate all of that internally? You know, I think it's something that a lot of our audience would be really intrigued to hear about, how you can bring such change and innovation to a large corporate.
That's a great question. So what I did, and this is speaking from my experience, is obviously is a big thing to come and say to a brand that has been doing something for 12 years, hey guys, I'd love to completely shift what we're doing and just try something and fully erase whatever we've been doing and just make that big shift. It's a big thing, right? With that said, I think the best way to go about this, and this is what we did internally, is we designed a small scale pilot. And it also allows you to learn on that, right? So you design a small scale pilot, and you kind of explore how consumers would engage if they were to see this, right? And that's exactly what we did. We built a pilot, and I wanted to understand, if I were to do this on a larger scale, how would consumers react? Would they even engage with this ad if they saw it? Because again, it may work in other markets, but what if my market is different? What if my brand is different? Every brand is different. Every market is different. So that was the intent. Let's try, right? And I think while P&G is a massive corporation and it can be difficult for you to implement change and lead change internally, especially when something, again, at the surface level is effective, the best way to kind of have a mindset shift across your team and across an organization is to test out a pilot, grab all the learnings you can possibly get from this pilot, and then show people. And P&G is a very sharing-driven company. We really vouch for learning. So whether something went well or when something went south, as long as there was learning generated out of that, that is really supported internally. So that's exactly what we did. We built that pilot, and then I tried to put together all of the learnings, everything that went well, everything that I could have improved, to be able to say, one day, if I were to make this shift, this is what I learned, and these are the learnings that I will take with that massive shift, basically. Okay. And just one more thing I'd like to add on that is, at the end of the day, the value that was generated from doing this was a lot more versus the traditional sense, which kind of also made it very convincing internally to say, but guys, versus just reaching out to a mom physically and giving her a sample, I'm able to speak to her after. I'm able to drive one-to-one communication with her. I'm able to understand her satisfaction with the product. I'm able to understand whether she would even recommend this product to a friend if she had the chance to speak to another mom friend. Getting all of that value and communicating it and showing it basically to our MFT, it spoke for itself basically.
Brilliant. I'd love to dig into that with you a little bit more. Before we do so, just a quick reminder to everybody watching. I hope you're enjoying the discussion. If you do have any questions, please do share them in the chat. We're very keen to make sure that we leave some time audience participation as we move towards the end. But Lara, you mentioned there that the results from the pilot were really positive, and it allowed you to then make the case to really scale the initiative up with Pampers. Is there anything specific that you're able to share around what the results so far have been like, and perhaps any learnings or insights that have surprised you the most?
From a results standpoint, and again beyond the from a media standpoint, we've received so much engagement from consumers. So I think it spoke for itself in terms of you just need to get a compliment. You just need to sign up to this form and you'll get the sample straight to your doorstep. So from an engagement and media standpoint, it was super effective. The other beauty and such a strong result out of this program is the fact that we've been able to identify almost 30% of our target audience. So, and for Pampers, we have a niche target audience. Finding actually your moms within the digital space that exist out there is very difficult. So for us to actually say that we have identified almost 30% of our audience, that is massive. That is the biggest achievement, I would say, to date that we've seen on the program. And I think the most surprising thing I've seen is how much consumers love it. And the reason why I say that is P&G is a consumer-first company. If you're able to make one thing easier for a consumer, and if you're able to make the lives of consumers easier, that is the number one thing we vouch for. That is the essence of P&G. So to have done that through sampling and to have seamlessly integrated it across all of my existing marketing activities and me making the life of the consumer easier, that's the best thing I can do for a mom out there, especially knowing that more so than let's say a single person, a mom is extremely busy, her attention is on her child all the time. So to make one thing easier for her and to have her experience Pampers from the comfort of her home and seeing the real feedback from all of these moms has been the biggest achievement, I would say, and the most surprising element to this.
Oh, brilliant. And is this type of initiative allowing you to support your wider communications and marketing strategies? One of the things that I'm very curious about is how you begin to build that relationship with the mother, and as their child grows up, and as needs and requirements change. Has the digital sampling allowed you to build that relationship and communicate with the mother in a different way than was possible before?
100%. So versus saying, let's say in the traditional sense that we were sampling maybe X amount of moms and it being a simple plain number, today I'm able to say, oh, I know that I have X amount of moms that actually exist out there and they've tried Pampers and they've given me feedback on the product. I'm able to even reach out to them via email, via phone number, to continue that journey of communication with them, because stop there. A mom, after trying, let's say the first size of your product or any part of a brand's portfolio, I'm sure there's more to a brand story that you would want to drive, right, with a consumer. It doesn't stop at getting that consumer to try the product. So after understanding her experience, what would you want to do out of that after, right? This is the richness and the wealth of the data behind SoPost service. So we're able to speak to the mom, give her tips, give her educational content on everything related to diapering, everything related to taking care of a baby. And this is, by the way, everything that we stand for as Pampers, as a brand. We want to be a parent's ally, a mom's ally. So we want to be her friend. So to continuing that communication journey of always sending her educational content, telling her these are 5 tips that will make maybe your baby's life easier when it comes to potty training, etc. That was never the case previously, right? So to continue that journey of communication, that's also something that we stand for heavily as a brand. And through this sampling program, we've been able to crack that. So this is the first year where we're actually able to have this pure one-to-one communication where I can actually identify who I'm speaking to by name. So we send emails that are customized with the mom's name. And that's as specific as it gets, right? You're able to build a robust, very customized CRM program.
So is this actually the first time that you've been able to really communicate to the mothers at scale?
Yes. Yep, 100%.
Amazing. And I can then imagine that it becomes quite a core pillar of supporting other strategic goals that you might have, whether it's in terms
100%.
of engagement elsewhere or consumer insight, or like you said, just understanding brand love and brand sentiment in the market.
100%. And I think another thing that so beyond obviously the education piece to this, at the end of the day, you also want to educate a consumer about your portfolio of products, right? And Pampers has quite an extensive portfolio, and we have a specific product for every part of the diapering journey. So having the opportunity to speak to that mom on a one-to-one basis and tell her that at this specific stage of your baby's journey, this is the right product for you to use, and it's because of XYZ benefits. That's such a massive benefit to the brand, right? So you're directly speaking with your target audience versus and not versus, I would say, on top of all of the marketing pieces that you put together for a brand. So you have all of your marketing activities happening, and you also have that beautiful personalized communication that's also happening at a customized and a personalized level. So then it kind of makes Pampers seem, actually, we're not that mass, right? We are a personal brand, and that's what we want to stand up for.
Amazing. I mean, it's been quite the journey to over the last 2 years, from discovering SoPost yourself through to piloting, now to scaling up. And I'm really grateful for your advocacy and support whilst we've been on that journey. Knowing what you know now, is there anything that you would have done differently over the last 2 years? And is there anything that you're particularly excited to try or push forward over the coming year?
Something I would do differently. Honestly, I don't think I would have done anything differently, because I feel like the way we've kind of had this journey, it hasn't stagnated in any way in terms of learnings where I would say, oh no, I should have thought of that previously. I felt like it was a very flexible environment where we're learning from each other. You realize that this is the first time Pampers has done this. So I also got an extensive amount of experience from the account managers at SoPost. And I feel like you guys practice a very, very flexible approach and a very innovative approach to how you deal with brands. At least that's my experience. So if I were to do it, I wouldn't do anything differently per se. But I think the exciting part of this is there's just so much more you can do, right? If this now becomes the base, which it really does, because at least in P&G, we're a very innovative organization. So whatever we're doing today becomes the new base, and you're only supposed to go up from there. So the beauty of this is now what else is out there? How can I try to make this even more seamless? And I think the thing that I have top of mind right now is two things. One is maybe we can try to customize regional sampling more. So versus maybe going for a blanket approach of sampling, what if we were to try to regionalize our sampling by region, right? So you can separate your market into specific regions and try to even learn on what sampling means across each of these regions separately. Then you'll have a wealth of learnings. So that's something I have top of mind right now. And the second thing is, today, the way we've integrated sampling as part of our marketing activities, and I'll give you an example of the influencer leg, for example, is we kind of have the influencer speak about the brand, vouch for the benefits of the brand, and then she introduces trial. The way I'm thinking about it now is, why does trial have to be as a secondary or on the back end message of it? Why not bring trial as at the forefront of her messaging, and really have let's say influencers as a trial driver at the forefront? So then they're creating the content, they're speaking about the brands, and they're saying, why don't you try it for yourself? Here's the sign up form, or swipe up and sign up to this form. It's super simple, and you get the sample straight to your doorstep. So the way I'm trying to think about it now is, it shouldn't be just integrated, but maybe we should try to have it at the forefront of the marketing activities that we're doing, so it's clearly called out there more.
I love that. I think it's just about making it, if I can try to summarize in my own words, it's about making it incredibly easy for the right person to trial Pampers in the comfort of their own home or wherever they may be. And it's, 100%. I love listening to you talk about all of this, because as I mentioned earlier, we've been building SoPost for about 12 years now. And when we started the company,
it seems crazy for me, by the way, because it seems fresh off the bat for me.
We try to stay fresh and innovative, even if I have some gray hairs coming through now. But one of the things that I still think of a lot is, people often thought we were crazy 10, 11 years ago, because until we came along, nobody was sampling online. And it was very much about pursuing an approach that hadn't really changed in decades. And it was very much focused on delivering as many samples as possible to consumers in an offline environment, whether that was within a hospital or via a magazine or in a shop or at an event. And when we came along and said, actually, there might be a better way to do this. Firstly, your consumers online, they're on Facebook, they're engaging with influencers, they might be on the Pampers website. You should be able to speak to them there. And actually, 100%. You should make sure that strategically your samples are doing more than just being sent out and hoping for the best. And what was really fascinating for me to experience over the last 10 years or so has been that shift in mindset from brands away from that very low tech, low touch model of give away and hope you get some response back, towards it really being table stakes now to ensure that there's relevancy and high quality targeting there, that you're able to build that one-to-one communication with the mother or whoever the target consumer might be. And then lastly, from a measurement perspective, really being able to understand what has happened, what the experience has been like, what the conversion to purchase has been like. And so, when we think about sampling now, a lot of that very much feels like table stakes to us. And it's really brilliant to hear that from a P&G perspective, there's so much that you've begun to do over the last 2 years, and you're now considering that as the new base. And, it's almost, we should take that for granted, and everything should be about pushing the envelope further.
One thing I do want to say as well is, usually when you think of a product or let's say the different functions within an organization, right? Marketing would take care of the sampling, and then you have your separate function, which is your insights, your market intelligence function, that is kind of trying to do all this research on the back end to understand everything you're doing with the product. Is it the right product? What can you do better to make a product even more superior than it already is, let's say. I think the beauty of this is the fact that you have all of that within one solution. So again, it's exactly as you said, you give out the sample. There must be more out there beyond just literally handing out a sample to a consumer physically, right? How can we try to merge all of our objectives into one solution, which is what I found in Sopost, and which is why once I've tried the product and I've experienced it myself as a consumer, that's when I thought I have to bring this to Pampers. It's such a powerful thing to have people experience your product and get instantly insights on what they think about the product, right? And that's the essence of any brand, right? I want to understand what do they think of it. Did it meet their needs in terms of the benefits that I communicate about the product? Do they think that I could have done something better? And then just seeing all that feedback from real moms, that's amazing, right? Not having, the way I look at it, it's very unified. So it was literally going from a mindset shift of, no, every one of these elements is separate, and you have to treat them as separate. The sampling is one thing, the insights is separate, the callbacks are separate, and you need to treat these activities as standalone parts of your entire sampling journey. But then the shift that we've had with Sopost is it gives you that unified solution in one. So we sample, we understand her experience, we communicate with her one-to-one, and it's super seamless. So I believe, like, honestly, this is the future of sampling, and I'm only excited to see what else I could do for Pampers using this new way of sampling, this innovative way of sampling.
Brilliant. Well, it definitely sounds like it's the future for the brand. So we're very proud to say that we're playing a part in this change. And again, it's been really wonderful to see how you've been able to advocate for the digital sampling and how you've been able to make that change as quickly as you have. We have a few minutes left. So first of all, thank you, Lara, for giving us your time today. At this point, I'd love to open up the floor to questions. It's been great to see so much engagement, particularly this comment from Armin here, who is
I
a
see you too.
Pampers loyalist by the looks of
I'm
it.
very happy.
So if you are watching and do have questions, now is the time to share them in the chat. I've seen one question come in from Louis, which I believe is aimed at me. So you can have a moment to take a breath, Lara. And Louis' question was around where we as SoPost operate. Globally, we work in 30 countries. This includes Saudi Arabia, Oman, and the UAE. But if you do have any sort of questions about what our presence looks like, whether it's specifically within the region or other markets around the world, please do feel free to reach out. Happy for you to connect with me directly on LinkedIn, or you can reach our team through our website at sopost.com. This is not intended to be a sales pitch, so I'm not going to turn it into one, but just to provide a little further background on our offering and what it looks like region to region. Here at SoPost, we don't just provide technology. One of the things that we saw very early on in building our platform was that technology on its own wasn't enough, because you could deliver the most amazing digital experience, but if somebody doesn't receive the product, that entire investment has been wasted. So what we've built out globally in all the markets that we operate in is not just a localized technology solution. We've built out physical distribution infrastructure everywhere we work. And in addition to that, we're incredibly proud of our people plus product proposition. We've built up an incredible amount of insight and best practice knowledge over the decade or so that we've been operating. And with the brands that we work with, we're keen to make sure that we're supporting them as much as possible. So everything that we do with our partners is not just about providing you with a technology solution and hoping that you figure out how to make it work most effectively. We couple everything that we do with a really engaged and committed brand partnerships and customer success team, not just to support with all of the areas around setup and logistics, etc., but much more importantly, in my opinion, it's about really working as a partner and a consultant to understand what the brand goals are and to make sure that the way we're helping you leverage SoPost is most effective based on what you're looking to achieve. And that did turn into a little bit of a sales pitch, but hopefully it's helpful background for anyone who is not overly familiar with SoPost. I know it can be a little bit daunting posting questions into the chat box sometimes, but this is your moment if there are any burning questions. I will also say that if you're interested in understanding more about SoPost or connecting with Lara to understand her journey of bringing innovation into P&G, please do feel free to reach out to us afterwards. You can connect with Lara directly on LinkedIn through this link here. You can find me by searching in Jonathan Grubin or going via the SoPost page, and of course directly through sopost.com as well. It doesn't look like we have any more questions coming through from the audience, so I just have one final question for you, Lara, before we wrap up, and it is a big one, but I'd love to know what's next for Pampers. What are you most excited about, whether it's related to sampling or more broadly across the brand?
I would say it's focusing on that personal element. So as much as we're perceived as a mass brand out there, I want to make sure that every mom perceives Pampers as the most personal and friendly ally, basically. For me, success for this brand is to have that kind of perception amongst my moms, basically, to really have them see that Pampers is the most personal friend or the most personal brand that she uses for her baby. So it's really taking that mass perception away and bringing in more personal communication, more personal media. And that's honestly everything that we want for the brand. So beyond just identifying the moms that are out there, how can I genuinely speak to each of these moms to build that relationship with them? And this, again, doesn't have to stop at sampling. It can go to your media. It can go to what you want to push in terms of your suggested products. What's the best product for that mom to use based on the needs that she communicated with me? And I think a big one as well is testing out that space further through communities, through influencers, through WhatsApp, also chatbots, which is huge now. So really going for that one-to-one communication and continuing that journey of one-to-one communication is success for Pampers.
Amazing. It sounds like there's a lot of exciting things to come. I did say that was the last question, but in true Steve Jobs style, one more thing. We have had a question come through in the chat from Courtney, who asks, essentially, what would your elevator pitch be? Given the success that you've seen with SoPost for Pampers, if you were trying to convince your colleagues across other brands to adopt digital sampling, what would the pitch to them be?
3 things, and I think you'll understand what I mean when I say each one. So one is media effectiveness. The second is data collection, which is, I think, important for any brand out there. And the third is consumer insights. And by the way, I have pitched this internally to other brands in P&G, and those are the 3 things that I would call out specifically. Maybe beyond those 3 things, I would also bring it back to convenience. So at the end of the day, a brand wants to make any consumer's life easier. So if convenience is at the forefront of what you want to bring to a consumer, that tops it all. On top of that, bringing in the media effectiveness across all the media campaigns that you run as a brand, getting data of the consumers that you also want to target. And third, understanding in real time what these consumers think about your brand and your product. Those are the 3 key things that I would talk about within any elevator pitch or any conversation about sampling for Pampers with any other colleague.
Thank you. And thank you, Courtney, for the question. Lara, I can't thank you enough for your time today. I know that I've learned a lot, and not only on this call today, but in our conversations in the past. It's been really inspiring to see how you've been able to drive change within P&G, and I hope that those of you watching have had some learnings, and there's something that you can take away from this. I think one of the biggest takeaways for me has been about how Lara has been able to go from an idea, a concept, through to piloting and then scaling up the initiative within
I always feel like a lab scientist, honestly. I feel like when I used to pitch this as well, like internally, and tell them all the things we've done as Pampers, I feel like I'm getting those kinds of looks, like what is this girl do? When did she do this? When, like, you know what I mean? They would see me like a lab scientist or something. So I would say if any one of you out there has this innovative spirit and wants to bring that innovation to your brand, I would definitely say try to pilot this and just learn. Go in with an open mindset and take all the learnings, and then you can think from there.
That's amazing advice, Lara. Open mindset, a test and learn focus with everything that you do, and hopefully, looking forward, really understanding how everything sampling related can support the wider initiatives with the brands. An amazing takeaway for me has been about learning how this has supported the one-to-one communications with the mothers, and how it's allowed you to really level up some of those initiatives that you were looking at. So thank you again, Lara. I can't thank you enough for your time today. I hope all of you watching have enjoyed this session. Please do feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn and across other social channels. This is our very first Sampling Unwrapped. It's a series that we have been incredibly excited to bring to the world as we keep leading the way in digital sampling. We're keen not just to deliver incredible results for our brand partners and retail partners, but to ensure that we're really helping our community learn and gain best practice. So if you do have any feedback about this session, if there are guests that you'd like to see in future episodes, please reach out, because we would absolutely love to hear from you. But that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll look forward to seeing you again soon, and enjoy the rest of your day wherever in the world you might be. Thank you.
Thank you,
thanks
guys.
again, Lara.
Thank you.